Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're watching us from. Today is the 15th of January 2024. You are watching You and Your Right, and it's brought to you by Photo Solicitors. Every Monday, we come your way with topical issues that might affect you, might affect your relative. Today's discussion, we're going to decode or we're going to educate our listeners, our viewers in relation to sponsorship license, some of the new changes that are going to come 2024, and obviously let you know what it takes to be able to be issued with a sponsorship license as an employer. Today's we are going to talk about issues that you as an employer need to be aware, issues that you've taken granted, your duties, your responsibility as a license holder. Might be one thinking of getting one sponsorship license to be able to from abroad to work in your organization. Take this opportunity to share this video to employers, most especially if you are working in an organization that your employer would people to come to come and work. This is how you need to share employer so that they will be able to people from abroad after Brexit. What the Home Office or this is what the Secretary of State together for employers who would want to employ people from out the UK. Without much hype, we're going to just go back, come back again, then we will start the program. I will introduce my guest to you later on. So take this opportunity and share the video to other people. And we're going to be right back. And you are watching You and Your Right, and it's brought to you by Photo Solicitors. We're going to be right back. Hello, thanks for sticking by. You are watching You and Your Right, and it's brought to you by Photo Solicitors. I will stress that this program is just for educational purposes. We educate the community every Monday. But if you need in-depth advice on the topic that we are going to discuss this evening, our telephone numbers, email addresses, and all the point of contacts that you're able to reach us will be scrolling on the screen for you. This evening, we are decoding the dynamics of sponsorship license in the UK. And we will be talking about some of the changes that are going to happen this year. Without much ado, I will introduce Our guest for this evening's program is none and only other one, our able solicitor from Fort Worth Solicitors. I will allow him to introduce himself to our viewers. Probably this might be the first time you are watching him. Lawyer, you are welcome. Can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Thank you very much, Lawyer Patrick, for introducing me or for the introduction. My name is Lawyer Daniel Koy from Football Solicitors. I specialize in immigration, family, wills, and probate, and we do sometimes deal with employment matters as well. In today's program, we are focusing on employment and sponsorship matters regarding employment and skilled worker visas. We will be giving updates. There are so many updates that has been going on in the immigration field. So we'll be talking about some of them. We'll be talking about the increment in the health surcharge, the likely time that this will take place. We'll be talking about the skilled worker visa, the changes coming into place. We're talking about healthcare visas, those who can bring their dependents, when this is going to take place. We're going to talk about quite a lot of things, broad areas for employers who are looking to sponsor people, what they need to do, some of the documentations which are needed, the duties that is expected of them, because we realize that a lot of people are making mistakes. They are making falling foul of the rules. The Home Office is tightening the net. They are making things more difficult for a lot of people. So it's very, very important we get some of these things right. So definitely we'll be talking about the guidance for sponsors in this in this period, so that people don't make the necessary mistakes. And people who have questions too, you can post it on our Facebook page. You can share it, and we'll do well to answer most of your questions. Unfortunately, we will not be taking phone calls at this stage. We don't have the capacity to do that. But any questions that you post on the Facebook page as we go along, we'll do well to answer them. It may be that it's not about today's topic. Still ask your question, and we will still answer it for you. And as Lawyer Patrick said, we do offer free consultation in our office. So if you have any questions that you want to ask and you cannot post it on the Facebook page, do well to call us in the course of the week, and we'll do well to answer your questions for you. Thank you very much, Lawyer Patrick. If you want us to start, then we can start. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Lawyer Daniel, for joining me this evening to talk about this particular topic, which obviously people have heard us talk about, but it is very important we illustrate some of this topic for people to know, most especially now that UK is open for business, they are allowing people to come from outside to come and work here. But before you are able to bring anyone from the outside the UK to come and work for you as an employer, you have to be licensed to be able to do that. That is what we are going to talk about. Some of the duties and responsibilities that if you are thinking of employing someone outside the UK, your responsibilities and duties, we'll be talking about it because we realize that in our community, so many people have taken this license and most of them are being revoked because they don't know their responsibilities and duties. Lawyer Daniel, can you take us through what if today is the first time someone is hearing about sponsorship license? Can you tell us a bit about what it is and who is supposed to be making application for it and what it takes to make that type of application to the Home Office and to be issued with a sponsorship license?
Lawyer Patrick and our viewers, sponsorship license is a license that enables any employer within the UK jurisdiction to be able to sponsor migrant workers who are outside the UK to come to the UK. A few years ago, we would have said people who are outside the United European Union region, but now anybody outside the UK. So, if you're an employer, if you're a business person, whether you need to sponsor somebody immediately or you are looking forward to sponsor somebody within the next 3 to 4 years, it will be an ideal thing for you to have a sponsorship license. So it's not for small businesses, it's not for just big businesses, it's for any employer. So if you're a business owner, you've managed to get yourself a PAYE reference number because you're looking to employ people, then it is an ideal license that you need to consider having. We have in the past assisted many businesses, including restaurants, hair salons, churches, charities, and healthcare businesses, and even people in the IT industries, people in the fintech industry, people in the construction industry who are looking to obtain sponsorship license. Managed to assist such businesses in the past to obtain sponsorship license. What we do is a sponsorship license may be for an organization that is looking to sponsor somebody who they have identified, or they may not have identified anyone, but they know that based on the recruitment difficulties they may be encountering, they may need the sponsorship license to use it in future, so they may want to get it. So it's ideal in such situations. We have assisted religious organizations who may need a temporary worker who may want to come and work for them, whether it's assisting the religious workers or is assisting in musical instruments or people who are in the creative industry. So we have a variety of people that we assist in so many fronts. We also assist organizations who may want to enter the UK. They may be outside the UK, but they want to establish a presence within the UK market. So they want a license to be able to do that. This license can be able to assist them. So when we come to the global business mobility visas, that allows them. So it's also a special type of license, which is similar to what we are talking about. So when you look at it, it comes from all sorts of angles. And then we've also done what we call self sponsorship. You may be an individual who is based outside the UK. You have a business idea. You have something that you think you can do within the UK market. However, you don't really need somebody employing you to do that. We may also be able to look at that sphere and help you to establish a business by way of allow you or making you to get that sponsorship license. Many people in the past have always assumed or had a wrong assumption that being a sponsorship license holder means you are some big company. But as I have said, your annual turnover may be less than 80,000 or 50,000 or even 30,000 pounds, or you even be making a loss at this stage, or you may be a startup company, and we can still be able to assist you to obtain a sponsorship license. So you can see from my explanation that sponsorship license, which is the document or the ability for you to be able to sponsor migrant worker, is open to all sorts of businesses. And this is what it is. It's a document you normally get, but it's normally something that allows you to get a portal onto the home office system that allows you to sponsor people. Of course, it comes with responsibilities and duties, which we will be talking about shortly. So, Lawyer Patrick, I don't know whether you want to add
Yeah.
something to it, but it's my
Yes.
explanation of
Yes.
what I would say as well.
Yeah, thank you very much for the explanation. And as you rightly said, it's not only for big businesses because people think that, oh, before you're able to get or to be awarded a sponsorship license, you must be a big business out there. No, even startup businesses are able to apply for sponsorship license, thinking that in future the type of job that they do, they might need someone to come and work for them. But there are few things, there are some eligibilities that you would have to get before you be able to apply for this sponsorship license. We just brush through it, and people just need to be aware of. You might be a business that you would want to apply for sponsorship license, but you will be wondering what are some of the things that I need to put in place before my application will be successful. Because if you're a business, you might not necessarily be qualified to apply for sponsorship license, there are a few things that you need to put in place. For example, you must be an employer, meaning that you would have to have the ability to employ someone. One of the evidence that you would have to show that you are able to employ someone and also able to employ someone outside the UK will be a PAYE reference. That is a reference that you make an application to HMRC that you will be classified, or you will be known as a legitimate employer, because what it is that you are going to employ someone from outside the UK to come and work for you. So you need to be recognized by HMRC that you are eligible to employ that individual. Again, you have to be an organization that, or obviously, if there are certain requirements in the organization when it comes to regulation, you would have to be at least be regulated by whoever regulates your type of work that you do. Say, for example, if you are a care organization, or if you are a solicitor's firm that you would want to obtain your sponsorship license, it is good that you might be a member of a regulatory body of the kind that you work under. It helps you to get, not compulsory, but it is something that if you have, you will know from updates that, for example, the care industry at the moment is going to be one of the requirements that you need to be regulated by the Care Quality Commission before you will be awarded sponsorship license going forward. Again, you have to be an employer who has somewhere a designated premise to work at. It is not ideal that you are an employer and you don't have an office. Basically, you should have a space where you are going to operate from. It is very important again that you should have a bank account, a designated bank account for the company to be able to show that you are receiving money into that particular company. Because what we just need to be aware of is that the sponsorship license is going to be issued to the company that you are working for, or the company that you are a director of, or you might even be sole practitioner or anything of that sort. But it is good that you have your bank statement, a business bank statement showing that you are eligible to employ, pay people from the payroll, and all sort of good things that you need to get. Again, if you are an employer that you would want to employ people from outside the UK, you should have insurance at least to cover the person that you are employing, because every employee or employer should have an insurance. For example, employer's liability insurance that is going to cover the company that is employing someone from outside the UK. And even here in the UK, occupiers liability insurance that would obviously show that you are secured when it comes to the premises that you are working from. There are other requirements that you need to satisfy before we are able to make this type of application for you to be a sponsored license employer, that you will be able to sponsor someone outside the UK. Today, we are trying to decode the dynamics of the sponsorship license, and most especially some of the upcoming upcoming changes that are going to occur in 2024. This is one of the major reasons why we decided that we're going to discuss or talk about this evening, because there are so many issues, there are so many comments being made here and there in relation to some of the upcoming changes in relation to who is able to be sponsored, in relation to the financial threshold, whether dependents are able to come, when are they coming, whether they are in or not. So, without much ado, Lawyer Daniel, can you talk us through a bit in relation to some of the major changes that we should be anticipating coming 2024 and some of the dynamics that we need to be aware of?
Thank you very much, Lawyer Patrick. You are right. The reason why we are quite stressing on the requirements of making a sponsorship application is people are worried about the upcoming changes. And some people may be wondering, is it too late for me to apply for a sponsorship license to be able to sponsor somebody in time before those changes come in? And the answer is it may not be too late. There's still time, and you may still be able to make these applications. That's the reason why we are focusing on the details of what you may need. And from what Lawyer Patrick said, if you are listening to us, you realize that most businesses should be in a position to be able to provide at least four of the documents that Lawyer Patrick have mentioned. So, i.e., proof of business premises, your employer's liability insurance, your NI or proof of PAYE documents and stuff like that. It should be easy for many people to provide it. It's also imperative for people to understand that there may be some businesses that may not have these ones because we are making an application under the global mobility scheme. So if you're a business that you are abroad and you want to come into the UK, there's still time for you to also consider making one of these applications because the changes haven't taken effect yet. But as you said, there are five key changes that we are looking forward to in 2024. And the baseline, the most significant one related to skilled worker visas is the fact that the baseline minimum salary to be sponsored for a skilled worker visa will rise from 26,200 to 38,700. This is the very, very, very important. The baseline minimum salary to be sponsored for skilled worker visa will rise from 26,200 to 38,700. This will not affect health care or health and care worker visa applications, which include social care and for education workers on the national pay scales. So it's very important for people in those sphere to know that they are not going to be affected by the increments coming up. So if you're a healthcare visa holder or somebody who you are learning, you are preparing to come into the UK as a healthcare worker, please don't be scared about this because the changes is not going to affect them so long as they are on their own pay scale, which they have already advertised or they have published previously. They're going to make
Lawyer
changes to
Dan,
the shortage. Yeah.
Lawyer Dan, yeah, let me this particular bit. Can you elaborate on that? Why does that mean that if you are an employer and you are paying someone less than 26,200, or at the moment you are paying someone 26,000 for argument's sake, or 27,000? Are you saying with these changes that are going to happen, as an employer, you will not be able to employ someone that you are going to pay less than the 38,700? Is that what is going to happen? And when is it going to take effect?
Well, when we at the moment there's a baseline. Every type of occupation have a minimum amount you can pay the person based on what we call going rates. So if you want to employ somebody like a plasterer onto a construction site, you cannot pay the person less than the baseline. There's, however, a list called the shortage occupation list. That was what I was coming to. So if the type of role you are sponsoring do not fall under the shortage occupation list, then you either have to pay the going rate or you have to pay
Mhm.
the baseline salary, which is the 26,200 for that person. If you pay less than that, your application is going to be refused unless you are going to
Okay.
do what we call the trading point, where you trade a PhD holder with some, but that becomes too technical for our program this evening. So if the amount is increased to 38,700, what that means is that for most people who will be sponsored under the skilled worker scheme, they will have to be paying that migrant worker at least 38,700 per annum for them to be able to be sponsored. And if the person does not fall under the shortage occupation list, then we are going to have challenges. Or if the person is not coming as a healthcare worker visa holder or an education worker, then we are going to have challenges. So this is going to affect so many people. It's very, very important we get that. But most people also come in under the shortage occupation list, which is also going to be affected with some of the changes. So, for instance, you have the shortage occupation list, which is published from time to time, which currently includes a lot of occupations within the construction industry, which includes a lot of occupations within the healthcare worker schemes and the education worker scheme. They are going to change, they're going to tweak that. We don't know the changes that is they're going to make, but what they have stated is that they are significantly going to reduce the number of jobs where it will be possible to sponsor overseas workers below the baseline minimum. So we need to keep an eye on that. We don't know what and how that is going to take the practicality of it, but it's something that we ought to be aware of. And you asked the question, when is these changes going to take effect? What they said was that most the skilled worker minimum salary increase will happen in April 2024. And then we also talk about the changes to the occupation list will happen earlier than April 2024. The exact dates, I'm not too sure when it will happen, but we need to know that most of these changes will not happen unless there have been a statement of immigration changes. So they've changed the immigration rules. Those statements will be announced any moment. We don't know, but from what was announced in Parliament for the changes to the occupation list, they are hoping it will happen before April 2024. Of course, we also talk about people banning newly care workers bringing their immediate family members into the UK. For that, they said it will happen as soon as possible in the new year. They say it will happen as soon as possible in the new year. It does not mean it's going to happen in January, it's going to happen in February, it's going to happen in March. We are hoping that this will be, or we are expecting it to be announced as the package of changes that will be announced for the April 2024 changes. But as we speak today, no announcement has been done. So for those people who are confused whether they can bring their dependents to the UK or whether if they are a care worker and they are making an application next week, next 2 weeks, can they make an application including their partners and children? The answer is yes, and it's bold yes. You can go ahead and make those applications, including your dependents. Let's go back to the guidance that has been issued for healthcare visa applications. The healthcare visa application guidance was published somewhere in February 2021. 15th of February 2021. There have been updates over the years or over the months. The last update that was published by the Home Office was done on the 15th of February 2022. So the last update that has been done to the healthcare visa guidance as I speak to you today, 15th of January 2024, was done about over a year ago, which is 15th February 2022. So nobody should be in doubt whatsoever whether they can still bring their family members to the UK or not. If you are making the application today, tomorrow, day after, unless changes are made or announced tomorrow when we wake up, fair enough. But until those changes are made, be rest assured that you can still go ahead and make those change or those applications if you want to make those applications. Don't sit down and wait and think that is going to affect you. It's also important for me to add that the Home Office have clearly announced that when those changes are made or they are announced, it is not going to affect people retrospectively. So if you are already in the UK on the care worker visa route, it's not going to affect you in any way. If you want to swap, you want to switch jobs whilst you are here, it's not going to affect you. This is something that I want to assure people because we've had so many calls. Many people are confused. They are worried whether this is going to affect them or not. And it's very, very important we lay this clearly for our people to understand that those changes that are going to be announced are not going to affect people who are already in the UK under the scheme as it currently stands. So, Lawyer Patrick, I don't know whether there is any more that you want me to add to it apart from what we have said. Clearly, we don't know the exact date most of these things are going to be stated. Legally, there is a no minimum length of time that statement needs to be laid before coming into force. By convention, there's usually at least 21 days between the statement being laid and the changes in it taking effect, and often longer in practice. But it is possible that sometimes changes or will be made because of political reasons or because of other factors for them to take effect immediately. And if you remember, on the 17th of July last year, 2023, the Home Office made announcement to make changes to students not being able to switch to the healthcare scheme, and it took effect that very day. So, in as much as we know that by convention the Home Office will give at least 21 days notice, we also know in the past that they have gone differently, or they've gone in a different way when it comes to taking effect for certain applications. So we need to be aware of some of these things, and we also have to know. Somebody will say, "Well, the MPs be voting to approve or reject or amend the changes." It's unlikely. Changes to the immigration rules take effect automatically unless either the House of Commons or the House of Lords actively votes to annul them within 40 days. Usually, there's no vote, and the government is not obliged to make time for one in the Commons. So when these things are announced, don't be expecting that something is going to happen in the Parliament for it to take not to take effect, unless people mount legal challenges. Whilst we are talking about these changes, it's also important for us to lay bare the fact that they are going to increase the immigration health surcharge, which is very significant, and people need to be aware of it because those changes are going to take about 66%, and most people who will be making skilled worker visa applications will be paying this immigration health surcharge, which is going to increase by 66%. So if you are thinking of making an application, we all know that the initial arrangement was for the changes to be take effect on the 16th of January, which is tomorrow. But as we speak, we do not expect that to happen because it was not laid into Parliament at the right time. So we are looking at somewhere the earliest period will be 31st of January 2024. So if you have any application to make, whether it's a skilled worker and you think you've escaped those changes which is coming into place, bear in mind the immigration health surcharge changes, which is 66%. And as you know, if you are making an application for a family of 3 or 4, those changes is going to be a big hit on your pocket. So bear in mind when making any arrangements or any plans for that matter. Lawyer PK, please come in, and if there are anything that you want to add to what I have said or any questions further, we can progress. If not, we can also talk about some of the duties the skilled workers, sponsor license holders need to know, because we've realized that many people are falling foul of the duties. They are not aware of those
Yeah.
duties, and it's causing a lot of problems for a lot of people out there. So, come in, Lawyer Patrick.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much for explaining into details in relation to when these changes are going to happen, and most especially when it comes to the health and social care visa holders, and obviously those who want to employ the health and social care workers in relation to the financial threshold going to be increased from 26,200 to 38,700. And I will hold on to some of the points that we will be discussing, or we will be thinking of delving into it, because time is not on our side. And as we always say, this program is just for education purposes. If you need further clarification, or if you something that we've mentioned here, you think that is affecting you one way or the other, kind of a call. Our telephone numbers are on the screen. When you call us your initial consultation, we don't charge you anything. We will just give you advice. And if you want to instruct us, you can go ahead. We go for a quick break for people who would want to take a sip of or to make coffee while you are live. And just a reminder, you are watching You and Your Right, and it's brought to you by Fortwo Solicitors. Every Monday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., we come your way with topical issues. Grab a cup of tea, and we are going to be right back. You are watching You and Your Right, and it's by Mr. Welcome back. You are still watching You and Your Right, and it's brought to you by Photo Solicitors. We just want to acknowledge few people who are watching us on Facebook right now, and we know other people are watching us from other feeds as well. Francis Owusu, wherever you are watching us from, thank you, and we know that you are sharing the broadcast to other people to also to be educated. Joyce Clinton Tibia, we acknowledge your presence on the platform. Nanajua, you too, you are acknowledged. Reverend Efiedu, you are acknowledged as well. Salome Koi, you are also wherever you are watching us from. Francis Kaiser, wherever you are watching us from, we also acknowledge your presence. Ebenezer Bote, you are also acknowledged. And everyone that time has not permitted for me to mention your name to, you are acknowledged. We urge you to share the video to, most especially to employers and obviously skilled worker visa holders who are confused about bringing their dependent, most especially to the UK in this moment in time. Share this video and encourage them that there is still the opportunity for them to be able to bring their dependent still in the UK as dependent visa of a skilled worker holder. Before we went for that quick commercial break, we were talking about the people or the employers who have been granted sponsorship license. As we mentioned initially, there are duties and responsibilities that come with this sponsorship license. And so many people are falling short because it's either they are not aware of or they just take it for granted. It is very important that we reiterate that if you don't take care and you lack a responsibility or there is a duty that you need to perform as a license holder and you take it for granted, that license now is being issued to you to be able to employ people from outside the UK to fill the employment opportunities that you've got in your organization. It will be taken out from you. Duties and responsibilities, very very big thing when it comes to sponsorship license. And we are privileged to have one of the specialist lawyers who deals with sponsorship license in Fortune Solicitors, who cannot under stress the fact of people losing their licenses because they underrate or they don't understand what responsibilities and duties are as sponsored license employers. So, Lawyer Dan, can you take us through some of the responsibilities? If maybe someone might be watching us today and thinking that, oh, I want to make an application to get this sponsorship license, what are going to be my responsibilities? What am I supposed to be doing to be able to continue to hold this license as an employer?
Okay, thank you very much, Leah Patrick. One of the things that people need to understand, or we need to let people understand the baseline for having a sponsor license. For the UK government, they want people who have sponsor license to be responsible people to help the Home Office to maintain thing like proper migration system in the UK. So when you are given a license, it is given they are putting a responsibility in your hands. So you it's very, very important as a business owner, you understand the responsibilities that comes with being a sponsor's license holder. But as a business owner myself and yourself, Leah Patrick, you understand the pressures that businesses bring. So you as a business owner, you are trying to make profits. You are trying to make sales, and you are also being told that you need to read about 60, 70 page document of guidance. So you understand every little thing in there, and you understand that even within the legal sector, there are a number of lawyers who don't even touch skilled work applications or sponsor license applications because of how complicated it is. It is tick box. You either meet the rule. If you don't meet it, you are out of the system. So many people get it wrong. But it's very, very important that you understand the basics. We are not going to state all the things that need to happen, but we are going to state the basics. And one of the main things that each employer or each sponsorship license holder need to be aware of is that for each sponsored worker that they have, they must have evidence that you have checked that each sponsored worker has the legal right to work in the UK and do the work in question for you. So if you are a sponsor license holder and you are employed somebody, make sure that you are checking the type of leave to remain or whatever visa the person needs to work in the UK, and you have done what is called having a statutory excuse so that you are not liable for a civil penalty. So what are you supposed to do? Anybody that you employ, if you're employing students, make sure that you've checked their status, you have taken record of it, you are retaining those records, and then if they are supposed to work 20 hours, you are giving them 20 hours. Don't assume that it is the responsibility of that student to know that they are supposed to work only 20 hours. You, as an employer, have that responsibility to make sure that you are only giving them 20 hours. If you are employing somebody who is a healthcare visa holder and the person is allowed to work 20 hours outside his original sponsor's workplace, and you have also decided to give that person employment, make sure you are giving that person 20 hours and not more than that, because when there's a problem, you cannot go back and blame that migrant worker that why did you decide to do 40 hours when you know you're supposed to only do 20 hours. These are some of the things that we are talking about, and it's very, very, very important that employers take record of whatever evidence that they have. They've kept it, they've put it on their HR systems, because anybody who is trying to get a sponsorship license, one of the expectations from the Home Office is that you will have proper HR systems, record keeping systems, which is able to tell you whether somebody's visa is about to expire, whether somebody has not turned up for work for 10 days or more, whether somebody is just skiving or whatever it is. You have proper HR systems in place to be able to check all those things, so that when somebody fails to show up, you will be able to report it. You'll be able to do what you ought to do. So, for instance, Leah Patrick, I've had situations in the past few weeks where employers would have sponsored somebody. And when they've sponsored a person, you are supposed to create a COS, certificate of sponsorship. Within the certificate of sponsorship, you are supposed to state the starting date of the migrant worker coming into your business to start. And you all know that in reality, the application process may take long. Maybe somebody would have, the passport is about to expire. The person have got the wrong English language test done. The person has not done the TB test because of the country is coming from. So the person has to go and do a police check record. You need to check all these things, and some of these things can delay the application process. When those application process delays and the application does not go in early, and the person is not able to arrive in UK the time that you stated on the certificate of sponsorship, it is your duty as an employer or as a sponsor to go on the portal that you have been given to go and amend the start date of that individual. Of course, the migrant worker cannot do that himself because he doesn't have access to your portal. It is your responsibility. People think, oh, once I have given you the sponsorship, that is it. It is your responsibility. No, it doesn't work like that. There may be people who can come to the UK, and for one reason or the other, they will not be able to start working for you as a healthcare worker or something because of regulations in the industry. So, for instance, if I ask somebody that I've given somebody sponsorship, I've told the person is going to start work from the 1st of January 2024, but the person is unable to start that work because maybe the person, we have to conduct DBS, which is the criminal record in the UK, and it's taking 3-4 weeks for it to come back. It is not the person's fault that the person cannot work, but as a sponsor, it is your responsibility to go back on the portal and make sure that you have made the necessary reporting that is expected of you. These are some of the things that we are talking about. We at Fortune Solicitors, we see so many people missing some of these deadlines, and there are strict deadlines to it. Sometimes, if somebody stops working for you, you have 10 working days to report to the Home Office. If you don't do that, you are failing in your duties. These things can lead to your license being downgraded. And when your license is downgraded, it's got so many implications. So people need to be aware of these things. And without this, it can cause problems. We've seen people losing their license for no reason, simply because they did not do what they ought to do. So people need to take these things seriously. If you're a business owner, a business person, you are too busy to be paying attention to some of these things, you can outsource it. You can outsource it to your solicitor who will be able to deal with these things for you so that you can concentrate on your core business that you have put on yourself. So that is something that you need to be aware of. The second requirement or duty that people need to know is evidence of recruitment of sponsored workers. Lawyer Patrick, we've had so many situations where people will recruit people. I don't know, I don't want to mention how people get recruited, but they've got no idea, they've got no CV, they've got copies, they've not got no copies of the person's passport, they have not interviewed the person, they have not taken interview notes and stuff like that. For the Home Office, they expect you that you must be able to show how you have recruited your sponsor workers. For some routes, you must have carried out a formal resident labor market test before employing a migrant worker, or taking other steps to ensure that you are not displacing suitable settled workers in the UK. For other rules, there's no formal resident labor market test, but you must still be able to explain and, where appropriate, provide evidence of how you recruited the worker. This is very, very, very important because this will be able to show that you have genuine vacancy at your workplace. Should the Home Office show up at your place and you don't have any documents, so these are some of the things that people need to do. We as Photo Solicitors will be able to guide you, show you the way, show you some of the documentation that you need to keep to be able to make sure that you are following, you are keeping in line with these requirements. Where there is no evidence, there's no requirement to do the resident labor market test, it is also important for you to be able to show that maybe you advertise somewhere, you did not get the local people in place. Just show some sort of adverts. For instance, when it comes to the healthcare visas that we are talking about, there are some countries that are classified as being in the red routes, the red category. So countries like Nigeria, Ghana may be in the red category. You cannot simply go there and actively recruit their people. But those people can see an advert on your company website, and they can make an application and come to you. You must have evidence of these things, because you don't want a situation where the Home Office will show up and then it becomes a problem. No, So these are some of the things that people need to be aware of. And then when it comes to the residence labor test, where you have to advertise for 28 days, the type of evidence you need to show, you need to be, sometimes you can advertise, but you have not taken a screenshot of the day the advert went live. These are some of the things people need to be aware of and know that the Home Office is taking particular attention to some of these things. Then we also talk about salary of sponsored workers. It's important for people to understand that you are keeping copies of workers' pay slips, clearly showing the name, the national insurance number, the tax code, any allowances paid, and deductions made. For limited liability members, you must keep copies of the workers' evidence of drawings and profit share. This evidence is very necessary so that people are not seeing that they are being underpaid, or they are not following the processes. When the Home Office come to your place and they want to do inspection, one of the things they may require is for your employers to provide their pay slips and for them to provide a bank account showing where the money was going into. If you don't have evidence of that, this can affect your license. So you can see clearly that there are so many requirements here and there. Unfortunately, time is not on our side, Lawyer Patrick. I don't know whether there's something that you might want to add, but it's also important for me to add one last point, which is the skill level of sponsored workers. The skill level of sponsored workers is very, very, very important. If you are going to employ somebody under the skill scheme, you need to be able to look at the type of qualification that person is required to have. So if you are employing somebody to be a pharmacist, what type of qualification do you need? If you're employing somebody to come in to do care work, we know that they need a level 3 qualification, which is equivalent to A level and above. Do they have the required qualification? Do you have a copy of that qualification? If the Home Office come to your office to inspect your business, will you be able to provide evidence of that? The English language requirements, of course, the Home Office will ask to see that. The Home Office will not ask to see the level 3 qualification of a care worker, but the expectation is that you, as an employer, you have checked it, you've taken record of it, and you are storing that record on your system for inspection should it happen. We at Fortwell Solicitors can assist you in every way of the whole process so that you don't need to worry about these things. Sometimes people feel, I need to guard this. I need to make sure everything is within my domain. What happens if you lose it? We've seen so many businesses who have lost their sponsorship license. And some of these industries, they need the sponsorship license to survive, especially in the care industry. You need the sponsorship license to survive, to recruit and retain good talent in your business. You need it. So if you lose it, then what happens? It's very, very important you get an expert behind you to guide you to be able to protect the license that you've been able to get, or if you want to get it, to guide you through the process. I believe I've mentioned most of the things that is required. Lawyer PK, I will leave you to conclude for us so that we can end today's program. Yeah, can you hear me, Lawyer
Thank you
PK?
very much for the insight that you given us. And as um, uh, just said, solicitors, we have the when it sponsorship. Take our numbers with you. Or share the broadcast with other people who were not able to watch us live so that they will also be educated. We are going to be same time next week. We're going to be here. We're going to bring you another topical issue that might affect you and or your loved ones. You watched You and Your Right, and it's brought to you by Fortune Solicitors. Thank you very much for watching, and we're going to be back next week, same time. Thanks for watching.